Hey guys, what's going on? We're going to talk about the only thing that everyone's been talking about the last week, and that's Afghanistan. By the time you see this video, it's probably going to be like a week and a half since the major shit started happening. We're going to tie it into the theme, which is the title, is that the Biden administration literally sucks at every single thing they do. And you're like, yeah, Robert, that's just government. They always suck at everything. No, sometimes they do a couple of things right here and there. But this is the first administration I know that I've studied or lived through that literally every single thing, without fail. You know, we can cherry pick things that people did well, like the Clinton administration had the last surplus, the national debt. We actually made money during, I think, the last 3 or 4 years of his presidency. Maybe it was 3 years. I'll have to look that up. I'll put it on the screen. So, yeah, he sucked in other ways, like he was severely anti-gun and passed the assault weapons ban in 1994. But I can still criticize him and still note, hey, he did do some good things. That's just one example. Let's get back to the point, though, because I don't want to go down the rabbit hole. But the Biden presidency is literally doing nothing right. We can talk about each of the different topics, like Afghanistan, like infrastructure, like debt, like the southern border, like implementing critical race theory in schools. Everywhere you go, every single issue, political issue you can think of, they are messing it up. They are full of psychopathic retards. Look up the definition of psychopath. It's a person suffering with abnormal or violent behavior. That is what these people are. This is not normal. This is not okay. This is insane. That's why the term clown world became popular on the internet several years ago, because it's a joke. Like, nothing makes sense. Everything is crap. And you might say, oh, Robert's kind of a pessimistic there. I'm just like, prove to me wrong. Something that there's, excuse me, something that they're doing right, or something I should be hopeful for and not pessimistic about. I'm not, man, I cannot talk today. God damn, it's so annoying. I'm not pessimistic about myself. I feel good about myself, my own life, my own personal goals and achievements and abilities, professionally and in my marriage and everything. So that's not what I'm pessimistic about. That's the part I got figured out. It's the stuff I'm not in control of, which is the freaking government messing up every single fucking thing they can get their grubby little paws on. It's just a bear rage of non-stop demolition, I guess is the right word for it. They're just dismantling everything you can think of right in front of us, just like a kid with a hammer in a glass store, just destroying, like, just the Afghanistan thing alone will take years to recover from. And I think that will go down as a major historical moment, like 9/11, like the fall of Saigon, like, I don't know, Pearl Harbor, stuff like that. That's on the scale of how bad this is and how much he fucked up. And not just him, but everyone around him are also psychopathic Marxist retards. They are. Man, I wish I can talk better, because this is such a good topic to talk about, how they're fucking everything up. I ate spicy food right before I did this, which was not a good idea, but hindsight's 2020. I mean, we're talking about, like, when I was growing up, people talked about the hostage crisis in Iran during Jimmy Carter. People talked about the fall of Saigon during the Vietnam War. I didn't live through those, but I remember people talking about it. And this reminds me of just, this is the same kind of thing. This is on the scale. I was too young. I mean, I lived through the Black Hawk Down thing, but I was too young to remember or didn't pay attention. So, but I hear people talk about that too. All of these major international fuck-ups. It goes to the central point that our foreign policy of intervention and constantly being at war with like dozens of countries at the same time, constantly involving ourselves in every single country we can get our grubby little paws on and fucking it up and for our own benefit, nation building, whatever you want to call it, imperialism, American imperialism, this has all been our foreign policy for decades now after World War II. And that Afghanistan is just the latest fucking example of why this doesn't fucking work. Korea worked because the Koreans wanted to change. They did not want to be communist. They liked capitalism and freedom. So they fought to preserve it. And that's why we have South Korea being free and being relatively prosperous in terms of the financial capabilities of a country. The Vietnamese did not want that. Those who did want it got beat or they immigrated somewhere else. That's why we have a ton of Vietnamese immigrants here, because they fled. They didn't want that, or at least the communists wanted it more. And ever since then, it has been a domino effect of our foreign policy and intervention, American imperialism, nation building does not fucking work. Who is it? I was on the Dan Bongino show yesterday. He was talking to, was it him or someone else on his show? Maybe it was Trump talking to Handy. Whatever. Someone said, it doesn't matter because it's true, that we should have never gotten involved in the Middle East. All we do is fuck it up for oil, and we make the place way worse than what it was before we constantly intervened. Lebanon, we got hundreds of soldiers killed in that bomb. It's not hundreds. I put up the stat because it was I think it was 1984 embassy bombing or Marine barracks base. We can talk about whenever terrorists blew up our boats, and I think it was Somalia or Yemen. Maybe it was Yemen in the 90s. We can talk about Black Hawk Down, Somalia, and then also in the 90s. We can talk about Vietnam. We can talk about meddling in Iran, propping up the Shah, and that's why they got pissed off at us and held our hostages at the embassy. We can talk about Iraq being a failure, because you think that's going to hold forever? You think that's going to be better than Afghanistan? You think that's going to be better once we pull our troops there? If we pulled all our troops, just like we did with Afghanistan, the exact same fucking thing would happen. We can talk about failed foreign policies, drone striking weddings and funerals and villages in like Nigeria, Pakistan, Somalia, just constantly getting involved militarily in all of these places. The Libyan civil war, yeah, that went well. Yeah, Libya is so much better now than it was under Gaddafi. That was a really great idea to support the Islamists and the slave traders. Yeah, that was a great idea. Oh, in Syria, yeah, we fucked that country up. What benefit does any of this crap have? Oh, it benefits the 1%. Yeah. We stole all the mineral wealth from Afghanistan. And they're like, oh, we don't need it anymore, so you can have it back now. Here's a fucked up country. Thanks for all the mineral wealth we stole. Thanks for letting us experiment all these new weapons that Boeing and Raytheon and Lockheed Martin produce. That's one of the major reasons why we have wars in the first place, because all of the defense contractors are like, we need to test all this crap out. So let's just make up lies, invade a country, and then we can use all our cool shit. So besides them, that 1%, it doesn't benefit anyone else. It doesn't benefit anyone living there. It doesn't benefit the soldiers on either side of the conflict. It doesn't benefit us, because now we're going to be targets of terrorist attacks, because people are going to be like, stop fucking attacking us. You remember all those terrorist attacks happening during Obama's years? Like, constantly. Like, every couple of weeks, someone would stab someone would blow themselves up, run over people, the truck of peace. That happened in Europe, too, but it happened here, too. Shootings all the freaking time. Because that's a direct consequence of our foreign policy. That shit didn't happen before we started interfering in the Middle East. Now did it? No, it didn't. Oh, importing all of these quote-unquote refugees, quote-unquote, that turn out to be psychopathic killers, that happens all the time too. Cool. Awesome. This foreign policy is great. It is really benefiting everyone. Where were the Islamist terrorist attacks in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s? Here in America. They didn't happen, or they were so maniacally fucking rare. Why? Because we weren't involved in the Middle East that much. When did it happen in the, you can go back even further, 1910s, 1920s, 30s. When did any of that happen? You didn't think radical Muslims were around back then? Yeah, they were. They've been around since the 7th century. Or is it 8th century? I think it's 8th century, the 700s. Yeah, they've been around all this time, but yet they haven't started attacking us until relatively recently in country's history, in the last, let's just say last 20 years, last 20, 30 years. They didn't do that shit because we weren't constantly fucking up every other country there. And then once you started getting involved in the 50s with Israel and Saudi Arabia and the oil, and then you can go through being stationed in Lebanon in the 80s during the Civil War. You can talk about propping up the Shah in the 70s, in Iran, all that stuff. And then that's when they started getting pissed off at us, and then that's when they started attacking us. 9/11 was a direct consequence of our foreign policy. And what do I mean by that? Osama bin Laden's like, hey, do not station troops, American troops, in Saudi Arabia. That's holy Muslim land, so don't go there, you infidels. And we said, no, we're going to do it anyway. And then we put the soldiers there. He's like, okay, well, you pissed me off, so now I'm going to attack you. If we hadn't had soldiers there, and also fucking trained him in his army, his mujahideen, another involvement that didn't fucking work. If we didn't do those two things, stationing the troops in Saudi Arabia and basically training them and giving them all this equipment, then 9/11 would have never fucking happened. All those people would still be alive. We wouldn't, like, it's a net benefit for everyone for us to not do this crap all the freaking time. You know who's been, now let's wrap this up. You know who's been maniacally quiet the last 6 days? You know, these are the people that couldn't shut up for 5 fucking years about everything that Trump was doing, crying like hysterical babies. But now, magically, they're dead silent. These people who couldn't shut the fuck up for 5 years are now strangely silent. Wow, it's so weird. And people can just keep on voting for the same two parties. I'm ragging on Biden and Democrats specifically because Afghanistan is his problem right now. But don't think the Republicans didn't have their fair share. Bush was the one that declared the war in the first place. He's the one who started us in all of these wars. He really kicked off after September 11th, all the drone strikes and all the other countries besides Iraq and Afghanistan. And then Trump brought it down a little bit, but he didn't end it. Reagan had the Iran-Contra affair. I mean, so it's not like Republicans are not to blame for this at all, because once you vote in a Republican, the war still happened. All of this shit keeps happening. I believe, I don't have it right in front of me, I believe Reagan was the president during the 1984 bombing in Beirut. I'm pretty sure it was. If not, it was Carter. So I will put that up on the screen. But regardless, all of those Republican presidents have their fair share of blame too. And people are like, oh, it's so sad what's happening in Afghanistan. Why? We don't want to be there. All these people who are complaining that we're in Afghanistan voted for people who wanted to be in Afghanistan. Biden has never met a war he has not liked. All of those wars I've been talking about since the 70s, since he's been a senator, we can go back every single war we've been in since he's been a senator. He has voted yes every single fucking time. And when he hasn't voted for it, he was the vice president also supporting it. He has liked every single intervention we have ever fucking done. We talk about Bosnia in the 90s. We can talk about that. He voted for that too. Panama voted for that. I think that was the 80s. Voted for that too. Every single time. These people complain about these policies and interventions. They keep on voting for people who keep on fucking doing it. So Biden voters are never going to admit, hey, maybe we shouldn't have voted for a complete fucking potato retard, and maybe this wouldn't have happened. People who voted for Bush, like, maybe if we hadn't voted in for another psychopathic retard, maybe we wouldn't have September 11th and all the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. No, they never stopped to think it. By their voting actions, Americans love pointless wars. It's showing by their voting habits. Both parties love war. And then they complain about it. Americans fuck up the world with their voting process, and then they act like, oh, it's so sad. And we can tie it into everything that Biden is doing wrong. The Democrats are just silent or just acting like it's not a problem. Like, most Democrats are brainwashed into thinking that the economy is actually doing better than it was under Trump, when you can just look up stats, which, again, they will never do. I'll put it up on the screen. The economy is free-falling into disaster because of Biden's policies. But nope, they just fine. Even when themselves like, gas is a little more expensive, meat's a little more expensive, all these shipping problems, I can't get my stuff. I wonder why that's happening. Maybe because I voted in for a complete fucking retard who's fucking everything up. Oh, that couldn't possibly be it. No, I'll keep on voting Democrat, it's fine. It's Trump's fault, anyway. They will never stop to reflect on their actions, the consequences of their actions. They're seeing it in real time in Afghanistan right now. We should have never been there. We should not have made up a lie saying the Taliban attacked us 9/11 when they didn't, and it was Al-Qaeda, two completely different organizations. And then we shouldn't have gone in there, invaded, and then tried to build a country where they didn't want it. It objectively does not work. It doesn't work in Vietnam. It won't work anywhere else in the Middle East. It doesn't work in Libya. It doesn't work in Syria. It will not work in Afghanistan. It won't work in Pakistan, Nigeria, Somalia. It won't work. We need to stop this interventionist foreign policy, whatever you want to call it. I mean, there's lots of different terms for it, but you know what I'm talking. You all know what I'm talking about. The constant wars, the constant intervention, the constant drone striking, propping up fake regimes, all this crap needs to stop. This will change some people's minds. I mean, every war, every time this happens, some people change their minds. Most of them won't. When they see Americans either getting taken hostages or slaughtered, which might happen, this might be a horrific massacre. You know, on the scales of like 9/11 or Pearl Harbor. If the Taliban just decide, you know, we're not going to bother with hostages, let's just kill all of them. Just slaughter all the tens of thousands of Americans in Afghanistan. What are you going to fucking do, Biden? You're a retard. You're not going to do jack shit. They know he's not going to do jack shit. He's not sending in troops You're not sending in tens of thousands of troops to go wipe out all the Taliban in Kabul and get everyone out. No, he's not doing anything. He's AWOL. Psaki's on vacation. Harris hasn't been heard of in like 6 days. Biden just deflects on TV. Like, they know he's not going to do anything. So, I said I was going to wrap this up like 5 minutes ago, so I guess I didn't. So, that's the whole point. That's just, now I'm really going to wrap it up. We will never learn from our mistakes unless people sit down and just like, hey, when I vote for politicians that say they will do ABC, then I vote them in, and they do ABC, and those are horrendous, horrible policies. Maybe I should stop voting for them. Maybe I should stop supporting them. Maybe I should stop doing everything they tell me to do and let them boss me around and actually stand up for myself as an American. Say, these are my rights. These are the policies I want implemented. Follow the Constitution, not this foreign interventionist crap, and it stops. It stops when we tell them to stop. Lots of us are yelling at them to stop, but it's not enough. We need more people. Maybe this will be a wake-up call once you see Americans getting slaughtered by the thousands in the streets because of Biden's foreign policy.